I've watched more talented people fail than I care to remember. And here's what breaks my heart about it. They didn't fail because they lacked ability. They didn't fail because the opportunity wasn't there. They failed because they were doing 17 things when they should have been doing one. Let me tell you something that took me years to understand. The person who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. And in today's world, most people aren't chasing 2 rabbits, they're chasing 20. I remember when I was 25 years old, broke, with nothing in the bank and pennies in my pocket. I had big dreams, sure. Everybody's got dreams. But I was scattered like leaves in the wind. On Monday, I'd get excited about real estate. By Wednesday, I was looking into starting a restaurant. Friday rolled around and I was convinced my future was in sales, but maybe a different product, a different company. I was like a butterfly, landing on every flower, but never staying long enough to gather any nectar. And you know what I had to show for all that activity? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because motion without focus is just exhausting confusion. Here's what I finally learned. And this changed everything for me. Working hard is not enough. You can work yourself to the bone, put in 16-hour days, hustle until your feet hurt and your eyes won't stay open, and still end up with nothing if your energy is scattered in too many directions. The marketplace doesn't reward effort. It rewards results. And results come from focus, sustained, intelligent effort applied to one thing long enough for it to multiply and compound. Think about the sun for a moment. The sun's energy hits the earth every single day. It warms things up, sure, but it doesn't set anything on fire. Now take that same energy, that same light, and focus it through a magnifying glass onto one spot. What happens? You can start a fire. You can burn through paper, through wood, through materials that seemed impossible to affect with just warmth. Same energy, different focus. That's the difference between a life of struggle and a life of achievement. It's not about getting more energy, more time, more talent. It's about focusing what you already have. The problem is that we live in a world designed to destroy your focus. Every app on your phone wants your attention. Every notification is designed by some of the smartest people in the world whose only job is to interrupt you. Every advertisement, every email, every text message is pulling you in a different direction. And if you're not careful, if you don't stand guard at the door of your mind, you'll spend your entire life responding to other people's agendas instead of pursuing your own. Let me share something with you about the seasons of life, because this is crucial. Life operates in seasons just like nature does. There's a time to plant, a time to cultivate, a time to harvest, and yes, a time when winter comes. Winter is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Economic winters, personal winters, unexpected challenges that test everything you think you know about yourself. Now, here's the question. When winter comes, will you be ready? The person who has scattered their energy in good times has nothing stored up when the difficult times arrive. But the person who focused, who built something substantial, who developed real skills and real value in one area, that person survives the winter. That person thrives, while others are just trying to survive. I learned this the hard way. When I was struggling, when I couldn't pay my bills and I had to face my creditors and explain why I didn't have what I owed them, it wasn't because I was lazy. I was working, I was busy, but I wasn't focused. I was doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, hoping something would work out. Hope is not a strategy. Activity is not achievement. You've got to pick something, commit to it, and stay with it long enough to get extraordinary at it. You know what I notice about wealthy people? They guard their focus like it's their most precious possession, because it is. They don't take every meeting. They don't chase every opportunity. They don't read every email or answer every phone call. They've learned something that most people never figure out. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Not your time, your focused attention. You can give someone your time and still be thinking about 17 other things. But when you give focused attention, when you're fully present and engaged with one pursuit, that's when magic happens. I'll tell you what focus really is. It's the ability to say no. No to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones. No to distractions that seem urgent but aren't important. No to people who want a piece of your time but aren't going to help you build your future. And here's what's interesting. The word no is one of the shortest words in the English language, but it's one of the hardest for most people to say. They're afraid of missing out. They're afraid of offending someone. They're afraid that if they don't grab every opportunity that comes along, they'll regret it later. But let me tell you what you'll really regret. You'll regret being 70 years old and looking back at a life of scattered effort. You'll regret having tried 100 things and mastered none of them. You'll regret listening to everyone else's opinion about what you should do instead of committing to the one thing that made your heart race and your mind come alive. That's the regret that stings. Not the road you didn't take, but the road you started down and abandoned before you saw where it led. When I finally made the decision to focus, and I mean really focus, something shifted inside me. It wasn't easy at first. My mind wanted to wander. New opportunities would come up and I'd be tempted to chase them. People would tell me about this hot stock or that can't-miss business venture, and I'd feel that old pull toward distraction. But I had made a commitment to myself. I was going to master one thing. I was going to become so good at my craft that people would seek me out, that I would become valuable beyond measure in my field. And here's what nobody tells you about focus. At first, it feels like you're missing out. Everyone else seems to be doing 10 things while you're doing one. They're busy. They're excited. They've got their hands in multiple pots. And you're just there, working on your one thing, day after day after day. It can feel boring. It can feel like you're falling behind. But you're not falling behind. You're setting yourself up to leap ahead. While they're spreading themselves thin, you're going deep. While they're learning a little bit about a lot of things, you're becoming a master of one thing. The marketplace pays for mastery. It pays extraordinary rewards for people who can do one thing at a level most people never reach. Think about it. A general practitioner doctor makes a good living. But a heart surgeon who specializes in one specific procedure, they make an extraordinary living. A lawyer does fine, but a trial attorney who focuses exclusively on one type of case and becomes the best in the country at it, they can write their own ticket. The riches are in the niches, but you've got to stay in the niche long enough to own it. Here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. You're probably already doing too much. Right now, today, you've got too many projects going, too many commitments, too many things pulling at you, and the quality of everything you're doing is suffering because of it. You're producing B-level work in 5 areas when you could be producing A+ work in 1 area. And B-level work gets B-level results, which means a B-level life. Is that really what you want? To be mediocre at multiple things? Or would you rather be exceptional at one thing? I made my decision years ago, and it changed everything. I decided I was going to become the best I could possibly be at understanding human potential and teaching personal development. Not human potential in real estate. Not personal development in the stock market. Just one thing. And you know what happened? The more focused I became, the better I got. The better I got, the more valuable I became. The more valuable I became, the more opportunities came to me. But here's the key. By then, I had learned to say no to opportunities that would pull me away from my focus. I had learned that the path to extraordinary results is narrow, not wide. It requires saying no to good things so you can say yes to great things. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. What's the one thing that if you focused on it exclusively for the next 5 years would completely transform your life? Not 5 things. Not 3 things. One thing. What is it? And more importantly, why aren't you doing it? What's stopping you from making that commitment today, right now, to become unstoppable in that one area? Because I'll tell you what's stopping most people. Fear. Fear of commitment. Fear of missing out. Fear of going all in on something and having it not work out. But let me tell you about a different kind of fear you should have, the fear of reaching the end of your life and realizing you never gave yourself fully to anything, that you dabbled, you sampled, you tried, but you never committed. You never went deep enough to find out what you were truly capable of achieving. This is your moment. This is your turning point. You can keep doing what you've been doing, spreading yourself thin, busy but not productive, active but not achieving. Or you can make a different choice. You can choose focus. You can choose to stop dabbling and start dominating. You can choose to become unstoppable in one area instead of mediocre in many. The choice is yours, but I'll tell you this, the clock is ticking and time is not on our side. Every day you wait is another day of scattered energy producing scattered results. Every day you delay is another day you're not building the momentum that compounds into something extraordinary. So what's it going to be? Now, making the decision to focus is one thing. Actually doing it day after day after day, that's something else entirely. You know, I've met thousands of people over the years who had that moment of clarity, that flash of insight where they said, yes, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. They were fired up, ready to conquer the world. And then Monday morning came. And then the alarm went off. And then real life started happening. And all that excitement from the weekend seminar or the motivational book started to fade like morning fog in the sunlight. Here's what I learned about discipline, and this might be the most important thing I ever share with you. Discipline is not about massive action. It's about consistent action. It's not about what you do once in a while with great enthusiasm. It's about what you do every single day with quiet determination. See, everyone wants the harvest, but nobody wants to plant in the cold ground. Everyone wants the championship, but nobody wants to practice when they're tired. Everyone wants to be unstoppable, but nobody wants to do the boring, repetitive work that creates unstoppable momentum. Let me tell you a story about my mentor, Mr. Schoaf. When I started working for him, I thought success was about big moves, dramatic gestures, those Hollywood moments where everything changes in an instant. But Earl Schoaf taught me something different. He showed me his daily routine, and you know what? It was boring. He read for an hour every morning, same time, every day. He made his business calls between 9 and 11 every day. He reviewed his goals and plans every evening before dinner, every single day. And I remember thinking, is this it? Is this the secret? And he looked at me and said, Jim, most people think success is complicated. It's not. It's simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. That phrase changed my life. Simple doesn't mean easy. Reading for an hour is simple. Anyone can do it. But doing it every day for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years, that's not easy. Making those business calls when you don't feel like it, when you got rejected yesterday, when it's raining and you'd rather stay in bed, that's not easy. But here's what compounds. Those simple daily disciplines done consistently over time create results that seem like magic to people who don't understand the process. I call it the slight edge. Every day you make choices that are either taking you toward your goals or away from them. The choices themselves seem insignificant. Reading 10 pages or watching television for an hour, in the moment, it doesn't seem to matter. The consequences of that choice won't show up until much later. Eating a healthy meal or grabbing fast food today, right now, your body looks the same either way. But 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, those daily choices have compounded into completely different realities. The problem is that bad habits compound just as powerfully as good habits. Skip your reading today and you're not noticeably dumber. But skip it every day for a year and you're a year behind where you could have been. Miss one workout and your body doesn't fall apart. But miss workouts consistently for months and suddenly you're out of shape, tired all the time and wondering why life feels so hard. The slight edge cuts both ways. It either works for you or against you, but it's always working. You want to know why most people quit right before the breakthrough happens? Because there's this period, I call it the valley of disappointment, where you're doing everything right, but you're not seeing results yet. You're putting in the work, you're staying focused, you're being disciplined, but the marketplace hasn't caught up to your effort yet. Your bank account looks the same, your circumstances haven't changed, and your mind starts playing tricks on you. It says, see, this isn't working, you should try something else. You should go back to what you were doing before, or maybe try that other opportunity you heard about. But here's what you've got to understand. Success is not linear. You don't put in 1 unit of effort and get 1 unit of result. You put in 1 unit of effort and get nothing. You put in another unit and get nothing. You put in 10 units, 20 units, 50 units, and still nothing. And then, if you keep going, if you don't quit, something magical happens. The results don't trickle in, they pour in. Everything you've been building suddenly catches fire and people think you're an overnight success. They don't see the years of daily discipline. They don't see the hundreds of times you wanted to quit but didn't. They just see the harvest and think it came easy. Let me talk to you about personal philosophy for a minute, because this is what carries you through when the discipline gets hard. Your philosophy is the set of ideas you live by, the beliefs that guide your decisions when nobody's watching. And here's what I discovered. You've got to develop a philosophy that makes discipline meaningful. If your only reason for staying focused is to make money, you won't make it. Money's not strong enough. Why? When things get tough, and they will get tough, you need a philosophy that goes deeper than dollars and cents. My philosophy became this: I am not just building a business or a career. I am building myself. Every day I stay disciplined, I am becoming a different person. I am developing the character, the strength, the capabilities that will serve me for the rest of my life. The money will come and go. The opportunities will change. But the person I become through this process, that's mine forever. Nobody can take that away from me. And that philosophy sustained me through the hard days, the disappointing days, the days when everything seemed to be going wrong. You know what else I learned? There's a pain of discipline and a pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. When that alarm goes off early in the morning and you're warm in bed and you don't want to get up and do what you know you should do, that's the pain of discipline. It's uncomfortable. It's inconvenient, but it's light. It's manageable. You can handle it. But the pain of regret, that's heavy. That's looking back at your life and saying, I could have, I should have, I wish I had. That pain is crushing. It's permanent. It's the weight you carry every day for the rest of your life. So here's what I did, and I recommend you do the same. I started tracking my progress. Not just my results, but my disciplines. Because results lag behind effort. But disciplines are something you can control today. I kept a journal. Did I do my reading today? Check. Did I make my calls? Check. Did I work on my craft for my focused hour? Check. And you know what those check marks did? They created momentum. They created proof that I was becoming the kind of person who does what they say they're going to do. And that self-respect, that personal pride in honoring your commitments to yourself, that's more valuable than any amount of money. But let me warn you about something. When you get focused and disciplined, when you start making real progress, there are going to be people who try to pull you back down. I call them dream stealers. They're not necessarily bad people. Often they're family, friends, people who care about you. But they're uncomfortable with your growth because it highlights their lack of growth. When you stop going out every weekend because you're working on your goals, they'll say you've changed, that you're not fun anymore. When you stop participating in gossip and complaining sessions because you're guarding your mental state, they'll say you think you're better than everyone else. You've got to protect your focused time like it's sacred, because it is. You've got to be willing to disappoint some people, to miss some parties, to say no to activities that don't align with where you're going. And this is hard. We're social creatures. We want to be liked. We want to fit in. But here's what I learned. You can't fit in and stand out at the same time. You can't be like everybody else and expect different results than everybody else. If you want an extraordinary life, you've got to be willing to be different. You've got to be willing to stand alone sometimes. And what about when you fail? Because you will fail. You'll have setbacks. You'll have days where everything goes wrong, where you break your discipline streak, where you make mistakes and fall short of your standards. Here's what you do. You don't quit. You don't throw it all away because you had one bad day. You don't say, well, I already messed up, might as well give up completely. That's crazy thinking. If you're driving to a destination and you get a flat tire, do you get out and slash the other 3 tires? Of course not. You fix the tire and keep going. Setbacks are not the problem. Quitting is the problem. Every successful person I've ever known has failed more times than most people have tried. The difference is they didn't let failure stop them. They learned from it, adjusted their approach, and kept moving forward with their focus intact. They understood that failure is feedback, not a character judgment. It tells you what doesn't work so you can figure out what does work. Here's something else about discipline that most people miss. It creates freedom, not restriction. People think discipline is about limiting yourself, denying yourself, living a rigid, joyless life. But that's backwards. Discipline gives you freedom. The discipline to manage your money gives you the freedom to not worry about bills. The discipline to maintain your health gives you the freedom to enjoy your life without pain and limitation. The discipline to master your craft gives you the freedom to choose your opportunities instead of taking whatever comes along. And as you build these disciplines, as you stack these daily wins on top of each other, something starts to happen inside you. You start to trust yourself. You start to believe that when you make a commitment, you'll keep it. You develop what I call personal integrity, the alignment between who you say you are and who you actually are based on your actions. And this personal integrity, this self-respect that comes from being disciplined, it's more valuable than any external achievement. It's the foundation of confidence, of peace of mind, of knowing that whatever challenge life throws at you, you can handle it because you've proven to yourself that you're the kind of person who does hard things. So the question is not whether discipline is worth it. The question is whether you're worth it. Are you worth the effort of becoming the best version of yourself? Are you worth the sacrifice of temporary comfort for long-term achievement? Are you worth the investment of daily disciplines that will compound into a life beyond what you currently think is possible? I think you are. But what you think is what matters. And what you do every single day is what proves it. Now, let me tell you about the shift that happens when you've stayed focused long enough. When those daily disciplines have been stacking up month after month, year after year, something changes. It's not dramatic. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly feel completely different. But gradually, quietly, you realize you're not the same person who started this focused journey. The work you used to struggle with becomes natural. The discipline you used to force becomes automatic. And the person you were trying to become, you look in the mirror and realize that's who you are now. I remember the exact moment I realized I had transformed. I was preparing for a seminar, and I sat down to organize my thoughts like I had done hundreds of times before. But this time was different. The ideas didn't just come to me, they flowed through me. The connections between concepts, the stories that illustrated the principles, the way to structure the presentation so it would land in people's hearts and not just their heads. It all came naturally. I wasn't straining anymore. I wasn't pretending. I had become the thing I was pursuing. That's what sustained focus does. It doesn't just give you skills, it changes your identity. You see, skills compound in a way that most people don't understand. When you first start learning something, every little bit is hard. You're consciously thinking about each step, each decision, each move. But as you practice, as you repeat the fundamentals over and over again, something magical happens. Those basics become automatic. They move from your conscious mind to your unconscious competence. And now you're free to operate at a higher level. You're free to be creative, to innovate, to see possibilities that beginners can't even imagine because they're still struggling with the fundamentals. And here's what I love about this process. Once you become competent, once you develop real mastery in your focused area, you gain a different kind of confidence. Not the fake confidence of positive thinking or self-help mantras. Real confidence. The kind that comes from knowing you can deliver. From knowing that when someone needs what you do, you can handle it at a level of excellence that few people can match. That confidence changes how you walk into a room. It changes how you speak. It changes how people respond to you because they can sense it. They can feel that you're not pretending, you're not hoping, you're not faking it until you make it. You're the real thing. But to get to that place, you had to let some things go. This is the pruning process that most people aren't willing to accept. An apple tree produces better fruit when you cut away the branches that aren't producing. Your life works the same way. As you got more focused, you had to stop doing certain things. You had to stop spending time with certain people. You had to stop pursuing opportunities that once seemed attractive but didn't align with your focused direction. And that hurts. There's a grief in letting go, even when you know it's the right thing to do. I had friends who didn't understand why I couldn't hang out like we used to. I had family members who thought I was obsessed, that I was missing out on life. And maybe I did miss some parties. Maybe I did turn down some invitations. But you know what I didn't miss? I didn't miss the opportunity to become everything I was capable of becoming. I didn't miss the chance to develop skills that would serve me and serve others for the rest of my life. So what does life look like when you've built that unstoppable momentum? When you've stayed focused long enough that you're not just good at what you do, you're exceptional. Let me tell you, It's different than most people imagine. It's not about showing off or proving something to the people who doubted you. It's quieter than that. It's deeper. It's the profound satisfaction of knowing you took raw potential and turned it into mastery through the simple power of sustained focus. Here's what changes. You stop accepting whatever life hands you and start designing the life you want. Most people are like leaves in the wind, blown wherever circumstances take them. They react to life instead of creating it. But when you've developed mastery through focus, when you've become genuinely valuable in your field, you gain something precious: choice. The marketplace rewards rare and valuable skills with rare and valuable opportunities. Companies seek you out. Clients pursue you. You're not chasing anymore. You're choosing. And the money? The money follows value. Always has, always will. When you can solve problems that most people can't solve, when you can deliver results that most people can't deliver, when you've gone so deep in your focused area that you see things others miss, that's when the marketplace opens its wallet. Not because you're lucky, not because you know the right people, but because you've made yourself worth it. You've invested thousands of hours becoming someone worth paying premium prices for. But let me tell you something that matters more than the money: the freedom. When you're excellent at something meaningful, when you've mastered your craft, you buy yourself freedom. Freedom to choose your projects. Freedom to work with people you respect. Freedom to say no to things that don't align with your values. Freedom to structure your days in ways that bring you joy instead of just chasing the next dollar. That's what focus ultimately gives you, not just success, but the freedom to define what success means on your own terms. And here's where it gets really beautiful. When you've climbed the mountain, when you've achieved that mastery, you get to reach back and help others up. You get to teach. You get to share the lessons you learned the hard way so others don't have to learn them quite so hard. There's something profoundly satisfying about taking someone who's where you used to be and showing them the path you walked. Not doing it for them, they have to walk it themselves. But lighting the way, showing them it's possible because you're living proof that it's possible. I've spent decades now teaching what I learned through my focused journey. And I'll tell you something, the joy of seeing someone else succeed because of something you taught them rivals any personal achievement. That's legacy. That's impact. That's what remains when everything else fades away. The money you make will get spent. The awards you win will collect dust. But the lives you touch, the people you inspire, the difference you make because you became excellent at something and then shared that excellence that lives on. Now, let me address something important. Focus doesn't mean ignoring the rest of your life. Some people think mastery in one area requires sacrificing everything else. Your health, your relationships, your joy. That's not focus. That's obsession. And obsession destroys what it touches. Real focus means mastering what matters most while maintaining what you value. It means being present with your family when you're with your family, not mentally working on your projects. It means taking care of your body because you understand you can't do excellent work in a broken down vehicle. Balance isn't about equal time. It's about appropriate attention. Your focused area might get more time than other things, and that's fine. But the other dimensions of your life still matter. Your relationships still need nurturing. Your health still needs maintaining. Your spirit still needs feeding. The key is being intentional about all of it instead of letting life just happen to you while you're busy chasing success. And here's what I've learned about true success after all these years. It's not about arriving at some destination where you can finally relax and coast. The greatest gift of sustained focus is that it reveals there's always another level. Always something more to learn, to master, to contribute. The game doesn't end. You don't reach a point where you say, okay, I'm done now. I've learned everything there is to learn. The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. And if you approach it right, that's exciting, not discouraging. Think about the ripple effect of your focused excellence. When you become unstoppable in your field, you don't just change your own life, you change your family's life. You show your children what's possible when someone commits to something and refuses to quit. You impact your community by being an example of what discipline and dedication can create. You contribute to your field by pushing it forward, by innovating, by setting new standards of excellence. That's the power of one person who decides to focus until they feel unstoppable.